What is up, creative thinkers? Welcome to The Creative Athlete. This is episode 1, day 1, minute 1. Ross, what up, man? It's me, CDG, or AKA Chris David G, Chris David Garcia, all of the above. Ross, what's going on, bro?
I don't know, man. I'm just kind of sad I only have one name.
Or, you know what, Rossi is my nickname. A lot of people are always like, is his name Rossi? I'm like, no, his email is Ross. Why? So I just go with Rossi. So what is up, man? Welcome to Pacifica. Welcome to San Francisco, man. We're on location here. This place is sick, man.
Look at this. Beautiful.
I might consider moving. Just letting you know.
Look at these waves.
We did a BDH and I ran this morning. We did a 3-banger, what I call, which is a 3-mile run. And man, it's just, it was good, man. I mean, you know, creatives stay up late and we're constantly, creating things, but we got up early, got to run in, set up the set. We're going to talk about these things. You know what? Let's get into what we're talking about today. So we're going to hit on a lot of things. We want to talk a little bit about our friends, John, Larissa, Aaron. We had a chance to sit down with them. Man, tell me a little bit about, like, how cool is that, man? Just to be able to do this and come to San Francisco and hang out with these guys for a minute.
Yeah. Well, first of all, just being able to travel, you know, during COVID times it's been good to get out of LA, get out of the house, get out of the office. I'm sure you feel the same way. And just visit our friends that we've made over the years and talk about creative issues, chop it up. It's a great time, man.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And again, just San Francisco, San Jose, Berkeley, like these places are beautiful.
Shout out Bay Area.
Shout out Bay Area. So let's just get into it, man. Let's talk about the visit with John. UC Berkeley, Cal Athletics. Man, that is such an awesome campus, dude. The stadium is sick. It's perched up on a hill. And we had a chance to sit down watching the football team. John's he's such a calm storm.
Yeah.
If you haven't met John, well, actually, you know what? Check out the episode, and you'll see what we mean. He's a big guy, first of all, physically. The story I don't know, he'll probably laugh at this, but when we were walking up and you know, he was meeting us at the gate, you know, we got closer and he just never got smaller. He's just a big dude. And so as we start talking about creative and leadership, you know, he just has that like calm demeanor, man. I think that's important, but just overall, I'd work for him. John, let me know and I'll put it in the application.
Yeah, man. Like John, you know, we met him a couple years back at Connect, and he took part in Logo versus Logo.
That's right.
And I remember he was like this gentle giant.
Yeah, perfect.
You know, right away I knew he was a cool dude. He had his Cal hat on, so that kind of sparked some conversation. Because, you know, me growing up on the West Coast, like Cal is like, we just hold Cal in such high esteem. It's, you know, it's one of the top universities in the world. It's you know, some great athletes that come out of there. Jason Kidd, Marshawn Lynch. That's what I think about when I think of Cal. And so we got to visit historical Memorial Stadium.
Yep.
And just have those views.
Oh man, watching the team,
the team practice, listening to them screaming and yelling and going through their plays, and we're in this venue that was built in the 1920s. It was just
you know what's crazy is as we're there, it was chaotic, right? Like we're shooting on set, with the team in the background, and we start getting into the topics and it's like the theme was work-life balance, and I know that's
the main thing we took from it.
At least that, for me, in the ride back, it was just something that I thought, man, he has that. I feel like he has that down, going back to that calm demeanor. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit, the work-life balance and the struggle. And everyone we talk about this off camera, we like to find out what people's take on it. My takeaway on it is that there is no, silver bullet. There is no, do this and you'll have it. So I'm always constantly, I don't know. I know for me, it's a constant check of the three areas of your life. It's like work, you got your family, and then you have yourself. And not in that order by no means, but, you know, those are the areas for me, like, I think that always have to be consistent. And, of course, sometimes it goes out of whack. That's when you have to recalibrate.
Yeah, that hit home with me. I'm sure it hit home with a lot of creatives. And you know how John was talking about having a newborn and a dog, and just having to balance working with 30 sports and working those long hours. We even exchanged stories about how we've actually spent nights at the office, which sounds crazy, but it happens. I don't know, Chris. I don't know. Like you said, there's no silver bullet. You know, we've talked about it. You know, and I hate to be defeatist, but I've always said work-life balance is a myth.
Yeah.
You know, I've said that. That probably means I'm working too hard, but it's very important because, you know, we're both family men, and, you know, we have to keep everyone happy.
Yeah.
We're trying to advance ourselves. We're trying to represent the company we work for, the team we work for, and we're also trying to keep our families happy, which is probably the most important.
Yeah.
But the one that gets neglected the most.
Well, you know what, though? I think for me, I just like to always think about the way it applies to the whole spectrum. So I go back to when I was single before I was married, and one of the biggest issues that I always reflect on is just what you said, family. And I didn't have a wife, I didn't have a kid, but I wasn't spending time with my dad, my brothers. My mom would always, she was afraid to talk to me. I don't know if any creative could relate to this. My mom was always, hey, I know you're busy. I just real quick, I just need this answer from you. And it started to make me think, I'm not that busy. It's not, man, these waves sound amazing back here. I don't know if you guys can hear the crashing of the waves, but my mom was always, she was just afraid to talk to me. It was like I was too busy, and I would constantly tell her, hey, Mom, I'm not too busy. Like, I can talk. I got more than a couple minutes. And so I started to realize, and that really actually made me make some of the moves that I was making. Like, this is not good. I need to find a wife. I need to be able to go on dates. I need to be able to celebrate with my friends and not be like, it's Friday and I got whatever draft coming, or, take care of your business. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's, you're right. Family has to be first, and then everything else. Well, even before that, in a weird way, I think self has to be first. You have to get your mind right. I talked about a run earlier. Not everybody ran here in the house. I mean, we.
Why didn't you wake me up?
Bro, I knocked like, pa 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 pa. After 3 times, it gets awkward. But there's just whatever that is for you. It might be meditation. It might just be the private time in the patio. But anyway, you know what? I also want to talk a little bit about the visit with Larissa. Oh man, and hanging out at San Jose State. Literally just shooting the ship on the court, dribbling, shooting, talking about work. Yeah, that was cool, man. I've actually never done that.
It was actually relaxing, like dribbling a ball on the court, shooting. Getting our shots in, but also talking about stuff. Like, it was like, relaxing.
I made a basket.
Well, we won't talk about that. But yeah, man, talking to Larissa was awesome, and just hearing her story, because she's such a fast riser in this industry. When she told us when she told us when she graduated from college, I was like, wow. And you're already leading a D1 athletic department creative. Like, that's really impressive.
And that's what you want.
Yeah, she got into some like real cool topics. And her being a woman, I think, diversity, inclusion was very important to her, as it should be to everyone.
Yeah, she's very vocal about it.
But that seemed to be what I took away from that, is that was just something that really hit home for her.
Well, it's crazy because, like, that's what you want for everyone, right? To have that fast track to where you were. Like, I think it's when it's a win for your friends, it's a win for you. And if you can get them there faster or open a door, man, that's gonna come back to you for sure. But there's also an area that you just can't help them with. Like, they have to have that drive and hustle. And as she kept on telling us about her story, you could tell, dude, she was a figure skater at a very high level, to the point where she can coach on the side. She coaches on the side. I mean, that's a whole, like, to be, I mean, so technical.
Sport takes a lot of dedication.
And she just kind of glanced over that. We're like, what? For how many years? And so, she talked about, being a woman and having to make a decision and then committing to it. And, man, it got real deep when she started talking about, like, people talking to her differently on the field and in creative. My take on that, I've said this numerous times. Maybe you guys have heard it. I think it's a maturity moment for a creative department when you could address diversity and inclusion and hire, because talk is cheap, man. Everyone, like you said, everyone should be talking about it or make an effort to it, but to actually put action into it and say, you know what, we hired this person because this, and not because we check the box, but because they add value, and now we're more diversified. I mean, truly the meaning of it, like, there's just things that guys can't do that women can't when it comes to, design perspectives, or maybe, you were born in this country and we were born in this country, and now you're taking a whole nother take on sports, that a global approach that, us domestic folks just, don't have. So,
I mean, we talk about this all the time. We talk about it all the time. When you're talking about diversity and the diversity of your staff, you even say sometimes you need to get people from out of sports to get that different perspective. And that's so true. I gotta say, as a minority, some of the things she said really hit home. When she talked about being a woman and she's in a meeting and she finds herself not speaking up or not making her voice heard in a group. You're in a meeting of like 9-10 people, and I've been there. It's I talked to her about that. I'm in the conference room, and I've never been about race or anything like that. But then when you're in this conference room and you're surrounded by 10 people that look similar, let's just say 10 white males, you become very conscious all of a sudden of how different you are. And that's improved over the years, and it definitely does make a difference when you can see another face that doesn't necessarily look like you, but at least another face in the room that looks different.
Yeah, and I think that's what it gets down to, right? It's about the balance and the platform and the value of having that in the room, having that seat at the table. And I know what you mean. I mean, it's so many different levels. It could be education, It could be I guess
gender, race.
I mean, I remember being the reverse.
Age.
For sure. There were a situation where I was the youngest in this group, and man, I'm like, these cats aren't gonna listen to me. Yeah. But I also was like the most tenured in the sense that I had been through a lot, and I always say this in sports, like, it's like dog years. Like, man, if you work 5 years in a league, you're pretty much been in the industry for like 10 years, because the hours are ridiculous, and especially if you're creative, because you can take it home. It's always funny to me, not to switch topics, but like when people leave their laptop at work, I'm like, don't you need that? I'm like, no. Like, are you crazy? Like, everywhere we traveled in San Francisco for different reasons, Ross never leaves his laptop, to the point where I'm like, guy, we're just walking right here, man. He's like, I'm gonna take it with me just in case.
I really don't. I leave it anywhere.
I'm like, damn, dude, you jaded, man. I think through the years, you already know, like, one, for security, but two, like, hey, might get that call. But man, let's jump to Aaron, because I want to get to the hats, and if you haven't seen, we dress the set with some of the things that we're passionate about. But Aaron's visit at the 49ers, man, going back to diversity, it kind of hit home with me because he's Filipino, and my sister-in-law is Filipino, and my nephews and nieces are half, and so just automatically, to your point earlier about being in the room, there's that entry of, man, dude, let's chat. But beyond that, just one of the things that we do and that we're very fortunate to do is, like, it doesn't really matter. You can be from the, born and raised, here in town or whatever, whatever background. It's really about, to me, it's about the mind, and it's about how you're treating other people, how you think about design. And for us, getting a chance to sit down with John, Larissa, and Aaron, man, we're just we're receiving. We're like, oh, these are such good.
We're learning from them.
Crazy, man. I don't know if they even
Totally.
realize it. So Aaron, like, really, he got real personal with it, man.
Yeah.
Started talking about how, his struggle and
Growing up poor.
Yeah, growing up poor. Like, I don't really talk about that stuff. I had a little bit of, this and that, but I think I was rich growing up. We always had food, and I didn't even know what my dad did until I was like way older. But man, he really got into that and shared that. That's very personal, and he talked about empathy, and that was just something that now like, oh, no wonder, it's crazy.
Yeah, that was a beautiful conversation with Aaron, man. Like, he really dug deep into that upbringing, how he came over from the Philippines at a young age, and him and his family didn't grow up with much money.
Drinking this whole thing.
Even he talked about there were days where they would struggle to put food on the table.
That's crazy, man.
And,
that's another level of poverty.
Yeah, and he's basically built himself from the ground up. But those experiences growing up, like, it obviously played into how he's a leader now, right? Like,
and you can tell by talking to his staff. We had a chance to go golf and hang out with them. We didn't do the whole, like, we did Top Golf. We didn't go, do the 18.
He was such a great example of a leader, though, man. Like,
he was, man. In all sense, even just being around, like giving his staff a seat versus, like, not sitting. I mean, we broke bread with Noah.
Bringing it, Christine, Noah, bringing the staff in and being a part of the photo shoot, and really giving them props. I mean,
and I was just, not to interrupt, man, but you could tell, like, going back to the leadership style, it's up and down because, like, it sounded to me like he's getting that, at the 49ers, and he values that, and then therefore he's kind of embracing that and trying to essentially put that into his style, and now it's impacting his staff, and you better believe that's just something that is going to happen, and that's what, to me, that's culture, right? Like, that's the culture you want to, whatever your culture is, you have the ability to establish it. And
so I think we really need to talk about what we took away from Aaron, man. And I joked about it in that conversation with him, that you and I probably need we need a tutorial on empathetic leadership.
Don't put me in that bucket.
Like, hey, come on, man. Like, I've talked to your staff, and like, we really need to we really need to embrace that, and maybe Aaron needs to teach us.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What are your thoughts on that empathetic leadership? Like, when we're coming up and we're learning to be leaders, I don't think that's ever kind of the empathy side of that is never really,
it is
exposed.
Man. It is. It's hard, like, because you have to factor in how you were raised, and you have to factor in your career and who your bosses were. And unfortunately, like, if you had a bad boss, it can screw you up for a while. Mm-hmm. You're always, like, jaded and negative, and so I'll be very open. I've had my share of bad bosses. I've only had one or two amazing ones, like, and we still talk to the point where I get their Christmas cards. If I don't get your Christmas card, man, I don't know if we've broken bread truly, but I think it's made me who I am, and I don't have any regrets, but it has toughened my skin, like thickened my skin and made me a little, more aggressive on the, hustle side, when it comes to getting the work done. And we were joking.
Guilty.
We were joking, and we were just like, man, we need to spend some time with you, dude, because we need to feed off that. And I don't know, for me, I think like, this sounds corny, but I use this term a lot jokingly, like vision quest. But for me, I would love to spend some time with Aaron and get away, for a day and get in the studio and just, man, let's break this down, because those are traits I don't have, and I would love to, you could see the effect of it, just look at how you and I felt leaving Aaron. Dude, I didn't even tell you this. He texted me like yesterday and was just like, hey man, I wanted to check on you. How'd the shoots go today? Man, if you guys need anything, like, no offense, man, but like I don't send texts like that. And I was just like, damn, I should, you know, like I need to check in on people more, you know, after there's that moment of connection. And so even that little brief moment that we had, like I had that takeaway, like this is something I need to do. If someone went through something, I should follow up. You know, I should. Hey, my work is not that important. Yeah, you know, it's the relationship that really is.
I've heard this quote and it really hits home, and it kind of plays into this. It's kind of a cheesy quote, but it also really made me think. Like, they say, really watch how you treat people because you don't know what type of day they're having. Like, their dog could have died, or they could be having trouble at home. They could have just gotten some bad news, and then you caught them at that moment, and they, maybe they weren't particularly open to you or nice to you, but you don't know why that person,
so true,
was like that day. So,
that's
just
so
something
true
to think about, and just something, like I said, we learn from others, we learn from our guests, and that's something I'll definitely take away from that.
Yeah. Well said, man. Words to live by for sure. You know what? I did want to talk about our set. If you don't know, then you should know. Ross and I, for some weird reason, we just collect a lot of hats. And we're not bald, like, we have hair. But I don't know, maybe. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you have a lot of hair. Call it the samurai.
I've been blessed, man. I've been blessed.
With the flow. I've seen pictures of your dad, man. He's like identical to you, but with white hair. So we just I don't know what it is for me. I don't even know how it started. I think for me it was more like, just being a fan and slowly wanting to rep the team, and then you don't want to let things go, and then you're like, okay, that one's trash, but these are sticking with me. So now, it's just like, I look at it as a collection. So
how many do you have? How many do you have in your collection?
I would say close to, I'm rounding up, but it's probably somewhere around 45 to 50.
Now, who needs 45, 50
It's
hats,
ridiculous,
man?
dude. It's ridiculous. Just before we took this trip, I bought 3. I had to hide them from my wife. I'm like, oh, man, I do not want her to see that I bought 3. I have to, like, slowly, bring them out into the public so she doesn't. So, my kids aren't like, hey, did you give me one? But that's just my thing. And so we have them on set, and I thought it'd be cool if we plucked one out, and we'll do this often and just tell the story behind it, because I know for me, a lot of them have really cool stories. Like, most of them are local, but like now I have a San Francisco 49ers hat. That's, that was my trip with John and my visit with him. So for me, it's this one right here. This is call it my Jose Altuve hat. So in sports, you do a ton of photo shoots, as you guys know, and you end up, being left behind with these props. This was a hat that we didn't know what size he wore. Media relations wasn't really giving it to us because he was new. And so we brought like a 7.5 and, a 7 and whatever. And so he tried this one on, and, he like started to shape it, and then he was just like, let me see another one. And he threw that one on. He kept it. And so, when the shoot was done, it got left around, and for me it was a big moment because it was a shoot that I got to really take, handle for the first time. It was basically our biggest signing at the moment, and still is one of the, biggest players on the team. And so, and it just looks dope, right? Like, it's just a really cool hat. And so, but no one knows that. No one knows that Altuve had it on for, the first 5 minutes, and that he shaped it. And so for me, like, this is mine, and the cool thing is, I don't know, I'm sure it's the same with you, they all fit. So there's days where I just rock it for like half a day, and that's it.
So Altuve actually wore that, like, on his head, like that's his sweat in there?
Yeah. No, well, I wouldn't know if maybe he has some hair fragments in there, but like, it was just a quick shoot.
But that was part of his wardrobe.
Oh yeah. It was. We have photos. As a matter of fact, I have a few photos of him with that one on, and it was like kind of like not mid shoot, but he just was like, I want one tighter, and I know how that feels, right? It's like, nah, this one ain't fitting. He just changed, because sometimes I'll have a 7.5, and I'm just like, okay, after about 60 seconds, this thing is tight.
But it's funny that, like, that hat costs like $55 in the team store. And Altuve comes in, and he's just like, and then
he literally tossed it.
He just throws it to the side,
Yeah.
and then you pick up the scraps, and now it's part of your collection.
And so, yeah, man, that's my hat. But yeah,
Okay.
I don't know what you got going on here.
I just have a few random hats here, but there is a special one here that's related to, of course, the team I work for, the LA Dodgers, and it's kind of has a story with us, man. So the hat I'm going to feature today
Don't make me cry.
The 2017 World Series authentic on-field cap. This is the real deal. This is what the players wear on the field. New era, authentic collection. But this is the World Series version. So this has the 2017 World Series patch on the side. But here's why this hat is really special to me. And I actually prefer to call them caps, but
Let's do that.
people go caps, hats. I don't really know
Caps,
the term, but
fitted.
and I'm a fitted collector. Yes, team fitted. As you know, the Dodgers, well, you might not know, but the Dodgers hadn't made the World Series since 1988. And at that point, I'd been working there for about 15 years, and I was like, man, I'm never going to see the World Series. But 2017, we went on a great run. We were lucky enough to make the series. And then we got to have this special patch on the side.
Yeah.
So this is actually the first World Series patch worn on the field by the Dodgers, because they didn't wear patches on their hats in '88. But the real reason this hat is special, when I look at it, man, not to get too teary-eyed with you, but like, this reminds me of my buddy Chris, man, because we faced and lost to, but we faced the Astros in the 17 World Series. We won't get into how the Astros won and all that, but but you know what? That speaks to our friendship, because we don't really talk about that. I don't really remember or think about that scandal when I think about the 17 World Series.
What are you talking
think
about?
Man, me and my buddy Chris were in the World Series together.
It was fun, man.
And
It was fun.
you know, like, he came to LA, he came to visit my office, and I brought his staff, and you know, we took some pictures, and then me and my wife went to Houston, and then we had lunch with Chris and his wife, and he came to visit us at the hotel bar, sat with like 100 Dodger employees, and the games were nuts, man. The games were
nuts,
crazy,
man.
and that's what this hat reminds me of. This 2017 authentic Dodger World Series hat.
That's dope, man.
And that's why that cap is special to me. It just reminds me of, you know, me and my buddy Chris reaching the promised land.
Man, thank you for sharing that, dude. That's crazy. I didn't know that. But obviously, there was that. It was just a special moment, man, in time. I remember we didn't text a lot during that situation, you know, with exception to logistics. Like, hey, man, I'll be there tomorrow. What time you want to meet? You know, those things.
Yeah.
But I remember it was like, before the series even started, it's like, hey, man, proud of you, dude. No matter what happens, you know, we already won. You know, like, you know, because we're gonna get to experience and travel, and the cards fell where they fell, and and it was a special time, man. Like, and to me, it was I valued it so much because so many of our friends, you know, haven't gone to a bowl game or a championship series, or, you know, been in a parade, like, or any of those things, man. So I really savored it, man. I know we all have friends that have been in the league or been, you know, with the NCAA for 30, 40 years and have never seen, you know, that type of success. So it was fun. And to be able to do it with a good friend like Ross was just super special, man. So that's funny. Appreciate you sharing that, bro.
Yeah, and I know you always call me a hater, and, you know, I am known as a hater, but it didn't hurt to lose in that World Series. But I was actually real happy for this guy and his staff. So
Appreciate
for once,
that,
I
man.
wasn't a hater, man.
Every once in a while, there's a moment in time where the stars align and Ross is not in the camp of hatred. But you know what? That's probably why we're good friends, man. Because I can hate all day. Well, let's wrap up, man. Hey, listen, we're gonna do this again. Join us again. Today we're in San Francisco, and in Pacifica. Who knows what will be next time?
Yeah.
But appreciate you guys hanging with us. The waves are crashing. We better get before high tide comes up, man.
Yeah.
Salud.
Good one, man.